Hey guys, Buckeye Bar Guys. We wanted to thank you guys for tuning in to us here on Buckeye Bar Talk. Great show we got coming up today. We're really looking forward to you guys listening and watching it. But just wanted to remind everybody, just remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the all notifications bell, and that way, anytime a new show comes up, you guys will be alerted to it. And don't forget to like the video and comment on the video. All interactions with us helps us continue to grow, and we appreciate your support. Now to the show. Welcome back, everybody. Buckeye Bar Guys here on Buckeye Bar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm John.
Tonight's date is Thursday, August 31st, 2023. And we're just 2 days away from the start of the season. Last week was week 0. We got big games tonight with Florida, Utah, Nebraska, Minnesota. So football is here. So that's exciting. Now we get to, instead of speculating on quarterbacks and things like that, we get to yell at our TV when stuff happens.
I know. It's like, hell yeah. I always think this time of year is never going to happen. I start getting into other stuff. Like, I'm like, oh, I want to, start smoking barbecue, get into fishing, all this. And then once it actually hits, mid-August, it's like it all goes away.
Yeah.
It's back to Buckeyes.
Everybody's got everybody's podcast on, listen to all the episodes of everybody's shows. And,
Yeah. The hobbies all go out. They all go away. And then my dark master calls me back. And once again, I am consumed by the Buckeyes.
Yeah. The Scarlet and Gray Master pulls us back in for
every year.
Another football season.
Never fails every year.
So we were into, the season is getting ready to start. Indiana 3:30 CBS game on Saturday. We know which quarterback is going to start. It's going to be Kyle Mccord. Devin Brown is going to play in this game. Ryan Day told everybody on his Tuesday's press conference this week that they are going to, that's how things going to happen, that both will play. It seems like that, the way I took it is that there's not really going to be a different offense for either one of them. It's just,
I hope not.
And they are going to, kind of see how the game goes. So they're going to play this game. And then he's basically said, we're going to play the game. And then you come up with a game plan after that. So, I don't know how it goes forward for this. I think they want to probably be committed to somebody by Notre Dame. Obviously, the 2 quarterback thing works a lot less than there's not really a lot of great examples of it being too successful. Sometimes you get those Chris Leak, Tim Tebow situations, but those are extreme situational, where, somebody is, beneficial. But the thing I think about these 2 quarterbacks, of course, I do trust Ryan Day. I do trust that he knows what he wants. I also I do like the fact that, even though there's some differences between the 2, they are very similar from what we're hearing in a lot of things. Usually when you get these 2 quarterback situations, you get one that is crazily on the one side and then one that's crazily on the other side, and the coaching staff just can't make a decision. But what sucks with that is that, then you kind of gotta, you're basically, why it really doesn't work is because then your whole offensive mindset has to change for which quarterback is in there. Right. And it's very hard for, offensive linemen and your receivers and your running backs to, kind of have 2 different philosophies of, the way they want to play. If your quarterback's more of a runner, that's a much different type of thing than, if your quarterback's not. And, but it seems like they're pretty similar in most things. So, I think that's pretty good. And I think that they should be able to put them both into good situations. And I think probably he just wants to see which one of them performs. I mean, these might not be the greatest tests in the world, but which one of these guys perform the best and doesn't make stupid mistakes. And then, that's what the guy that's going to be the one most ready to take on Notre Dame and going forward, probably, in my opinion.
What do you think is more ideal when it comes to if you do have 2 quarterbacks? Because we do. I mean, that's already done with. Do you think having 2 guys that are good, pretty good, whatever, that are similar in style, though, that you can call your whole playbook for both of them? Or is something situationally, as long as you have a grasp on it, you have a hold on it, like what we had seen before, JT Barrett, Tim Tebow being red zone quarterbacks. And Tebow is more like a goal line quarterback, really. But Chris Leak and Cardale Jones being more between the 20s.
Yeah.
What I mean, and obviously, Ed Warner, I'm not saying they had a grasp on that situation at all, because Ed Warner at what was it, Beck? They did a horrible job.
They were awful with that.
They had a horrible,
and that's like another thing. I don't think a lot of people are, sorry to cut you off, the people understand it. I love Urban Meyer. Ryan Day is not up to Urban Meyer's stature, but that staff in 2015 was not ready for that at all.
But he's also light years ahead of Urban as an offensive mind.
Exactly. And he's just not, it was just, that whole situation, it's an apples to oranges comparison. You can't really say, you can't use that situation as this situation, in my opinion. This staff is much more, I think, cohesive with each other. And, I think there's probably differences in that. Obviously there's differences when Ryan Day said, before, he took a straw poll and it was even. So obviously there's differences on, the opinions of it. But, I think that, it's not, I just trust the background of the staff more than, having Beck and Warner. Like Urban, Urban's the guy, he called a lot of plays on game day and stuff like that. But, from Sunday to Friday, those two guys were the ones running that situation. Yeah. So, I just think that's a lot different.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I don't like situational stuff unless maybe you do have that Tebow situation.
I don't like situational.
I think you telegraph it too much. You show your hand. The other guy can do the other thing. He can, Kyle, or someone could run, someone could surprise you and pass. But I just feel like when you start doing the situational stuff, you are tipping your hand too much, and I don't like that. So I prefer what they have going on.
The best situation I think I want to see from them is if Kyle Mccord, when he's in there, can he throw the 5-yard pass to Trey Henderson and then throw the 50-yard pass to, Marv? And when Devin's in there, can he throw the 5-yard pass to Trevion Henderson? Right. Can he throw the 50-yarder to Marv? I want to see both be able to, if both can do the whole playbook or most of the whole playbook, maybe there's some things that get taken out here and there, or, and that's up to Ryan. He has to Devin just does not do these group of plays that well, or Kyle just does not do these group of plays. Well, you take them out. But if they both can do the bulk of the playbook, then they are fine. And, again, I don't think that it's a good situation for the whole season. Be like, we're going to rotate you guys every 3-4 series or whatever. But if they can be like, okay, let's play it out. Let's see real game reps against Indiana, Youngstown State, and maybe Western Kentucky, and get ready for Notre Dame, then I'm okay where this is going. They should be able to win in that type of situation. They should be able to win these 3 games. So,
Yeah, well, no, I think I completely agree with that. I am excited to see both guys getting live reps, though, because I think there's a point you just have to see it. You can't just say, you guys have never played, so that is what it is. You gotta give them both time in game to play, see what they can do against defenses, see what they can do when they have to make a play. So definitely excited for that. Hopefully the offensive line looks good. I know we're not there yet in this conversation, so. We're just talking about the quarterbacks, but yeah, it's cool that we got a QB1. I wish nothing but the best for Kyle, and hopefully he balls out. Hopefully Devin Brown balls out when he gets a chance to.
Yeah. And if Ryan Day is smart this year, and this has been one of my biggest knocks on him, is that, I get it. He would love to see his starting quarterback holding up the Heisman Trophy, at the end of the season. My goal for that would be like, if that is your ultimate goal, then that's a next year thing. Let's find the starter this year. And, you should be able to put so many, they got a tough schedule, but you should be able to put a lot of teams behind quick and be able to get both of these guys work, and, and honestly get the other guys work too. And they should be able to get some of these guys in. it didn't benefit Kyle last year that he was only in mop-up duty when he's just handing the ball off. He very easily could have been in several third quarters. And then, we might not be having a lot of these discussions because, maybe one way or another, maybe he would have looked good, really good. Maybe he would have looked really bad, but he would have had the experience. And, and I just think it didn't benefit him when there was a lot of games where he'd been like, okay, and for CJ's health too, that, like, let's get CJ out of there and let's put Kyle in. We're up by 3 touchdowns. We shouldn't be able to give up 3 touchdowns.
And that's just like Ryan's had issues with this too. And it's kind of weird because in 2019, I think he played Fields a lot. I mean, he did, but it was like he almost trusts Chugginoff more than what he's trusted since then. It's like he almost gave him more play than what he gave, Stroud in 20, what he gave Mccord and Miller and Ewers in 21, and what he gave Mccord last year. And Brown, you got to I wish we would have been in a spot like you said that these guys got more run, got more of a full playbook, because outside of also what you said, we would know more, but there is a portion of our fan base, which I don't listen to it at all, but they think McCord's horrible because they've never, they don't see him throw a lot, or they think all he can do is hand off because he had a limited playbook. It's like Ryan Day didn't want to run up the score. He didn't put him in there till the second half of the fourth quarter. What's the guy supposed to do? If he's not allowed to throw the ball, he's not allowed to throw the ball. That's not on Kyle McCord.
Yeah, that's why second half of the third quarter, if you're up by it's okay. You bring your starter out for a couple drives into the second half if you're up big, okay, if you're playing a BS, FCS school or a very low group of 5 school and you're up big at halftime, maybe you make that decision that, okay, he's done for the game, or maybe we go out for one series, but everybody else, and that includes Big Ten schools. If you're up big against Rutgers, pull your people halfway through the third quarter. Your second and third teamers should be able to hold on to a lead against Rutgers. And,
halfway through the second quarter, who cares?
Yeah, these guys should be able to hold their leads. And that way you get to see McCord throw the ball more. And if somebody has an issue with running up the scoreboard, well, I mean, in the third quarter, you can still throw the ball. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear a coach that, is supposedly competitive from another school, bitching about, a coach, running his playbook in the third quarter or even in the early fourth quarter. I'm sorry, this is still a football game. We're not in the last 5 minutes of the game and we're up big. This is still, we're still getting work here. What would you do in the same situation? So yeah, I don't want to hear that. I don't think that's unsportsmanlike. I think that, there gets a point late in a game where, you should just hand the ball off because, as a fan, I want the game over with too at a point, but I want to see my backups and stuff get reps so I know that, going forward, if I was the coach, I would want to, okay, they face some game situations. Yeah, we're up by 4 scores. So I'm not saying it's the craziest game situation in the world. There maybe the pressure isn't there, but I can at least judge them whether they make stupid mental mistakes or not.
Right. Yeah. So I guess where are you? Let's say just scale of 1 to 10, 0 to 10, whatever. Where are you at that Ryan Day will ultimately get this right and won't fumble this catastrophically, but at all even? Where? So 0 would be that you have no fear that this is going to go bad. 10 is a
lot of fear.
We're in trouble.
I thought you were going to go the other way. So I was going to say,
I think I explained it the other way, but yeah,
I was going to say 8, but in that situation, I'll say 2. I'm going to give some room in there that I think that it is scary. But at the same time that like I said, this is an apples to oranges comparison this year to 15. That team was loaded too. This team is extremely loaded. I just think that as long as the quarterback gets the ball to the playmakers, they're fine. And that just needs to be drilled in their heads. Let these guys work for you and, Just get him the ball.
Now we are under the assumption from Ryan Day, Kyle Mccord is quarterback one.
Yeah, the way I understood is that he separated himself over the last week and a half in practice, and he did say he's the veteran kid. He separated himself, so he's the starter, and he's the one that's going to come out, the open game. But Devin's going to play, and he said that Devin has done enough to earn playing time, and so I think. And somebody did ask him that, is Devin going to get in there during meaningful reps, so early in the game. And he's like, yeah, that's the plan. But, Ryan Day was honest about that. He's like, there's other things that we have to judge at that point, the flow of the game and different things like that. But yeah, he said he would like that is ultimately the goal. He would like to see him get in there when, there are meaningful reps in the game. And he did also say that he doesn't, he might have a mental pitch count in his head, like this is what you're going to do, and then we're going to take you out. But he said that he doesn't want to really take the guys out, like if they make a bad mistake and then they're out, like he doesn't want to give it the, he's being, you can't make a mistake. I think part of it, he wants them to send them back out there so they do learn how to work through some of that stuff. So like I could see literally if one of them's in there and they throw an interception, I'm right now off what he said the other day, I'm assuming that person's coming back in on the next series, even if he wasn't supposed to come back in, because I think that's kind of what, that's kind of part of growing is Day wants to see, can they get them, if they make a bad, dumb mistake, can they get themselves out of it and learn from it? So, I mean, that's the most important thing.
So I would say I'm probably like a 3. I'm right there with you. Maybe a little bit more concerned. Just that what I'm scared of is that this is a little bit more closer to 50-50 than what we're being led on to believe.
Yeah.
And then this is 50-50 all the way through Western Kentucky. I really feel that week before Notre Dame. I mean, I know people are like, we could take it all the way to Notre Dame. I would love to have a guy week 3 though. That, they are starting to get full command of the offense. They're the dude. So that's what I think if you have that you do have your main guy week 3, you're probably in better shape than if you're still like half and half, kind of like we still don't got this thing figured out going into Notre Dame. That kind of worries me. But like I said, it's like a 3. And then there's always the chance, because we know Ryan Day doesn't just hand out, snaps the second stringer in the quarterback room that much. Like he doesn't just give those away, especially when he has a guy that he thinks needs to, continuously improve in different game situations. So there's always the chance that Devin Brown doesn't see a whole lot of playing time. That Kyle McCord does fine, but Ryan wants him to keep gelling with the team, keep getting comfortable, keep doing things. And Devin Brown's just what Ryan's used second string quarterbacks for his entire tenure. So there's always the chance that happens too, but I'm like at a 3.
Yeah. I think both of them play significantly these first at least 2 weeks. And then, we'll see about Western Kentucky. I think Ryan Day, and maybe I'm just reading him completely wrong. I think that even if they are 50-50 coming out of Western Kentucky, I think he's at that point willing to make the hard decision and, go with the one that he thinks is the best for the team.
I hope so.
And I that's just me. I don't think he's an ex-quarterback. I don't think he's going to carry this on, crazily long. And like I said, there is situations in this season, even with a tough schedule, that we'll just say Devin Brown ends up being not the starter, that he's the backup. Devin Brown should be able to get in there at different points and just let him play a little bit. And, it's good for their confidence. It kind of builds them up. And you never know, when you think about 2014, it doesn't hurt to necessarily have somebody. I mean, Cardell didn't have a lot of playing time, but he was in the system forever. So, he had confidence in himself. So, and you had a Herculean effort by Zeke, so yeah. And speaking of that, all these guys, they have a lot of on their shoulders right now. They all have to make sure they are picking that, that, and we'll get into the season preview and talk about some of this stuff. But, and we'll start with the running backs. I think that's kind of like the biggest thing is that, I want to see a lot of, and I know obviously none of us knew how bad the injuries were last year. I kind of wish Day would get a little bit better with that. I think there's ways that you can not tell people and
I think they have to now.
Yeah. Well, they have to give out availability reports. That's going to be going forward, which is a smart decision. I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, but yes, the reason why they're doing that, it's because of gambling is legal now in the majority of states in the country, and they have to. Because when you got that much money being floated around all over the place, availability reports have to come out. And people might not like to hear that, but that is reality. That's why the NFL does it, is that, you just can't be. And it's also a lot to do with the Iowa State stuff, is that, you can't have players betting on games and stuff. And, when they know the availability reports, if they know somebody's out and the rest of the world doesn't know, that's insider, basically would be insider information. So, that's why they have rules in place for a lot of this stuff. And so, yeah, that makes sense why they're doing it. I think that, the running game needs to hit early, and that's the best thing you help out. First of all, the best thing you help out with an inexperienced offensive line, and inexperienced quarterbacks, is you run the damn ball. The ball, run blocking is easier than pass blocking. You just go hit somebody and you push them. And, I know that sounds simplistic, but it's true. And, get guys out of your way and, open up a hole. And, and running backs have to hit those holes, and they have to have good vision, and they just need to play at their best level, because at that point you are helping out your, as a running back, you're helping out both your offensive line and your quarterback. If an offensive lineman opens up a hole for you, hit that hole hard, and, so it makes your offensive lineman look good, and they get confidence, and confidence is the biggest thing. Like, people think that, you can't compare these teams to, the big teams that they're going to play down the season. And that is 100% true. But, building confidence is the best thing they can do. And, you don't understand that looking really good against Indiana does help you build confidence for later in the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's one of the things I'm most interested in seeing this year, though, is how Justin Fry puts his footprint, or, DNA, how he influences the run game. Because that was Kevin Wilson. He did all the stretch runs. That was kind of like his thing that he liked to do. And I want to see just how he can kind of alter the approach that Ohio State has used over the years. If he does it all, if it's more so going to be, like a gap scheme type deal, which I think it will be. But I just want to see kind of his influence, his real mark on the run game. And I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good too. And we've heard a lot of things. I've listened to a lot of on some of the podcasts, some of the players that ex-players that have been into they get to go to camp every day and stuff, more than the media guys. It does sound like that the offensive line has, looked a lot better coming down to the stretch here. And it's because they're starting to gel with each other. We've said that before in this on our podcast, that the offensive line is, it's 5 guys that have to be one. And, you can't have a weak link in any spot, or it's going to make you all look bad. You can only out scheme a bad offensive lineman so much, to try to get maybe the ball to go the other way or whatever, but it will come back and bite you in the butt. So you got to all kind of be on the same page with everything. So it does seem like, just listening to people that the offensive line, even listening to Day and stuff talk about it this past week, it definitely feels like everybody's feeling pretty good where they're at right now. And so we'll see how they look going now into the season. But, they should have had a really, really good practice. I mean, you go up against, JT, and you're going up against Mike Hall, and you're going up against Tyleek Williams. I mean, these are guys, only a couple teams this year you're going to be playing dudes like that. So, it's time now and I think Donovan Jackson, a little bit yesterday, kind of, he kind of mentioned, going up against some of these guys. Right, he's ready to not be blocking Tyleek. Yeah, it's time to go block somebody else. But that's good practice for him. And I'm glad it sounded like they let all those guys go hard against each other. And, that's important. And because, if you get
iron sharpens iron. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. And so,
how scared are you on the pass blocking?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, right now, if we're going to do the same scale,
it's higher, right?
Right now, I'm at a 6, just because that, you can't say what first of all, the whole left tackle, right tackle thing. I don't think that is as big as a deal as it once was. Most quarterbacks nowadays, even in run style offenses, aren't under center like they once were.
Right.
And like even Michigan runs a lot in shotgun and in pistol formation. So like,
a new center, though, also
that makes me nervous because, with snapping the ball and, it's not just snapping it right back to a quarterback. It's, you're doing a shotgun snap, so that makes me nervous. The pass blocking does make me nervous. I'm not necessarily worried that, Josh Simmons is playing left tackle and it should be, Fryer, but because like I said, the quarterback is facing both sides now. His back is not necessarily to him like it used to be back in the day. So, Simmons, obviously he didn't go up against like-minded talent, playing in the Mountain West. I mean, Indiana would be the upper echelon of teams would have played out there, you know? So yeah, that makes me nervous. I want to see, but there's a point that, I think I'm going to feel that way until after Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame, like Indiana, I'm not going to get crazy with Indiana. I know what Tom Allen's going to do. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at them. I think that's good practice for them. They could look rusty. First week of college football always looks rusty for everybody. You don't have preseason like you do in the NFL. And, there's always a humongous difference between first week and second week in college football about how teams look.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look that across the board. I mean, really pay attention for this whole weekend. There might be one or two teams that look just lights out great, but even those teams, they're going to look like, they're going to make a lot of mistakes because that's just opening week football. That's just now playing a different team. And that's just what happens. It happens every year on all these teams. So, and I can't really judge the next 2 weeks on the offensive line. I mean, if they look bad in the next 2 weeks, then, that's really concerning. But Notre Dame's really going to be it. That's going to be the next really true, a team that has legitimate defensive players on their team. So that worries me. And it's probably going to be that way until after we play them. And then I will either be super worried or I will feel a lot better about the season at that point.
Right. No, what'd you say? 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there too. I mean, I might be a 7. It's just like things can get hairy if a snap's bad. Left tackle's not doing great, but like you said, they don't turn their back really anymore to, the defensive linemen. So it's not what it used to be where you need that blind side to be covered at all times. We'll see. I hope they're good run blockers. Of course, I hope they're great pass blockers because so much of our offense is going to be predicated on being able to complete passes. But I don't know. I mean, it is worrisome. Indiana's going to throw the kitchen sink at them. A lot of teams probably are going to have a shot to take the ball back away from them. So we'll see how it all plays out. Like I'm at a 6, but I mean, it could all gel very nicely like it did in 14 and everything be fine.
Yeah. All right, running game. So let's talk about who you think. I mean, are we on the same side here? We pretty much like it's a loaded room. We've obviously have heard some things that in practice they're trying to do a couple different things with both Chip and with Pryor to maybe be able to get both onto the field at different other situations than just your standard running back situation. The one thing I've been it definitely seems like, Trey is definitely the man. He's had a really good camp. He's healthy. It's just how much workload is he going to get? Because they just have a loaded backfield and, so I'm not sure what how much do you really think, are you on my side there that you think Henderson is is the dude, and then they're just going to slot people in where they can slot them behind him, and that's why they're going to try to get Pryor maybe onto the field in different situations outside of just being a running back, and why maybe Chip might be the Mitch Rossi of this year because they want to get him on the field in different types of situations too, because that way then it kind of puts them that they have a 3 running back offense instead of a 5 running back offense.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I think Trey, I think all ideas, all plans are that Trey is, running back 1, that he's your bell cow.
And Mayan and probably Dallin, we would think are probably behind him as the true running backs.
I can't remember who I heard earlier said that Chip's running with the 3s. I would do Mayan and Dallin. Quite frankly, I might do Dallin before Mayan, but we're not going to get into that. I mean, I'm good either way, so that's fine. But I think, Trey you have to go in wanting Trey to pan out as, your number 1 dude, and then he gets spelled when he's hurt or when he's tired. And, of course, you get Mayan every now and then in the game, and your number 3 every now in the game. And then hopefully in the second half, you can get those guys a lot of run also. But I think you have to. Trey is just so dynamic. And I know he's had vision issues in the past, but we don't know what it was about overcompensating, trying to, hit the home run all the time. He was hurt. Yeah. But if you saw how he ran, Trey is not afraid to make contact with people. Yeah. He ran into people against Notre Dame. He ran into people against Michigan State. He is not afraid of contact.
Yeah.
He was injured, and I think he was trying to make a play too many times last year.
Yeah. We don't know how
he's too dynamic. I know I'm sorry, but he can do so much out of the backfield catching the ball. If that guy has a seam, he's gone, which I just don't think a guy like Mayan, he can pick you up a first down. A guy like Dallin can pick you up a first down, but none of them have that extra burst that Trey has that he could just absolutely blow something open like that. So you got to give him as many touches as possible as long as he's effective doing.
Yeah. I think probably the idea with Trey is going to be he is the main dude, but what does the main dude look like? I think the main dude maybe early in the season is 60%. And then as the season goes on, maybe he's more like 75%. It's that I think, try to get him, try to get him maybe spelled a little bit more early in the season to keep his legs fresh for down the stretch, and then just let him kind of, as long as he stays healthy, run wild as the season goes on.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
So on his yard, so we probably are both in agreement that he's going to lead the team, and definitely in yards. The only thing touchdowns, I think he will rushing touchdowns lead the team. And it's just the one thing I always it's a couple of the podcasters have kind of thrown this into my head this week is is Mayan now would he end up being the red zone? So I guess that always is, something there that, maybe he's the goal line running back.
Mayan's very effective as a goal line back.
So, maybe that steals some touchdowns away from him, but I definitely, I think Trey easily gets, I think he's probably going to get close to 1,500 yards in my opinion. That I was thinking about this, I was definitely going to say he's over 1,200 yards, but I think it's probably right around 1,500. I think that's how much they want to use him if he's healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And then probably, like I said, I don't know what Mayan's going to steal from touchdown wise, but how many touchdowns did he run for 2 years ago, Trey? We had to look it up. It was around 15, wasn't it? Or 17?
Was it 15 rushing or 15 total?
It was something like that. I thought he was around there. But so I think he probably is going to be in that ballpark total, between 15 and 20.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to look it up. Trey's going to have the most rushing yards. He's going to have the most rushing touchdowns. But I agree. I know that there's guys that can, snipe those touchdowns from him, I don't know, man. He could take it in from far away out, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to he's not just some little guy that gets pushed back or anything.
No.
Like he's powerful. Like he can stay in on the goal line.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So no, yeah, I'm at, a 1,500 plus for him on the ground. So that's not including receiving yards. Maybe with receiving yards, he might be able to push 2,000. It depends how many receiving yards he gets. I think that they should.
He had 15 touchdowns. Sorry, rushing the ball. He had 19 total. He had 4 receiving touchdowns.
So I think that, yeah, that 15 to 20 total, I'm going to put him in that ballpark, and he might end up with more than that I think he's going to get used in the pass game. I think they're going to, from what we hear, some people that have been out there that they're running more screens this year. And hey, I'm all about that. Anything to help a quarterback out, and that helps your quarterback. So, and if you get somebody like Trey Henderson or Pryor on a screen pass, and they could take that to the house very easily. So, I'm 100% in favor of that. So I think he's definitely going to get in that ballpark, 15 to 20 total, and 1,500 plus on the ground. And I'm not going to say any speculate on receiving yards, but he's going to get receiving yards in there. He's definitely going to be an option out of the backfield because, it's good to have those options and with young quarterbacks. And I think that Day is definitely going to kind of, he's going to definitely beat it home into these. If especially if you make some mistakes down the field and Trey's wide open at 5 yards, just in film study, just throw it to Trey, let him get, who knows, he might take it to the house.
Right.
You might get 60 passing yards added to your total because he goes to the house, or he might just get you a first down, and that's fine.
No, absolutely. So let's go over to receivers then. I think there's only one answer here, but you might have a different opinion because there's a lot of receivers, a lot of talented receivers. And one of them might be getting double covered or bracketed or something that might open up some stuff for some other guys. So let's start receiving yards. We'll skip over reception. So receiving yards, who do you think is going to lead the team?
I think Marv is going to end up by the end of the season leading the team, but I actually think it's going to be a lot closer than probably people think because, I easily could see him and Emeka both getting close to 1,500 yards, receiving,
Yeah, I'm probably more in Emeka at the 1,200 cap, but they're both amazing, so it could happen.
I think teams' mindsets are going to be like, okay, we know what Marv can do. We know Emeka can do it too, but we have to double Marv. You have to bracket Marv. And I think he's just going to have a lot of one-on-one coverage. And, Marv's going to lead the team, but I think that Emeka is going to be a force to be reckoned with because, he's going to have a lot of one-on-ones this year. And I think maybe coming down the stretch that they might change it a little bit where they spread it out a little bit, because I think that especially if whoever the quarterback is just not looking for Marv, that is the thing that worries me with a young quarterback, that just Marv becomes the guy in their mind. And, as much as I know he can catch most 50-50 balls, I know that he can still, even being well covered, can make teams look silly. It's just, you don't want to have that mindset that this play only goes to Marv and only Marv. Find your other guys if he's covered, and go to those guys. And and if the quarterback can distribute the ball well, then there might become a point in the season where defenses have to kind of move some of the coverage away a little bit from Marv. He's still gonna be a focal point, but you're gonna have to come straight up, because Emeka literally is the best receiver on most teams in this country, and he would make most teams look foolish if they try to guard him out one-on-one, and he'll do that to teams this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, and touchdowns got
to be Marv, right?
It's Marv, just because Marv is such a threat in the red zone. You
can put 4 guys on him and he'll catch the ball in the red zone.
Yeah, it's he basically catches everything thrown to him for the most part. Very rare has he dropped anyone's, and especially if he doesn't take an illegal hit above the neck, he doesn't drop passes. So
right. Okay, flipping to, are you ready to go to defense?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so what are we doing? Sacks and interceptions. Do you want to do like a total like defensive breakdown right now, or you want to just go into what we think as far as like leader sacks?
Let's just do leader sacks. I mean, just real quick on the breakdown, they have dudes at every level, and I think this is going to be a very impressive defense. I do think the defensive line is going to get kind of back to where we expect Ohio State defensive lines to be. And I kind of expect the secondary to get back where we expect Ohio State.
That kind of works hand in hand together.
And that works hand in hand together. And the reason why I think both of those things is because I think the defensive line is going to be a little quicker getting to the quarterback. And I think the secondary is going to be a little bit more stickier on the receivers. And it goes literally hand in hand with each other.
Right.
And so, and that's what I think. I think the linebackers are really good. I'm crazily looking forward to see what Sonny looks like. And then I think, I want to see what CJ looks like too. I think they got to get him in as much as possible. That is just a little bit of a harder situation because Tommy is unbelievably good and Steele's really good. And so, that will take away from some of CJ's touches, but they still got to get him in there. And Knowles has acknowledged that he's planning on getting him in there. And I do believe that he does want to play him, a lot more than he played him last season. And it just doesn't seem like Sonny's ever going to get taken off the field,
Right. No, I see that too. I mean, they're already talking about all the different, all the versatility Sonny brings, all the different positions he can bring. So I don't see Sonny, going off unless they're subbing him out because they're kicking the snot out of somebody. He didn't play what they, as well as they thought he would, or that he just needs a rest.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Sachs, who you think's who you say you think's gonna?
I am not. It's not that I'm not on the hype train or riding the bus for Kenyatta Jackson. I believe JT is the most talented guy on the defensive line. I think he has shown over the last 2 years that he can beat, blocks, and he just has always been so close to getting there, and he just. He hasn't, but I mean, he had like 3.5 or something last year. I can't remember. I should have these numbers in front of me. But I think this is his breakout year. I think he is the most talented defensive lineman on the team, maybe one of the most in the country. And I think he's going to have his year.
Yeah, no, that's who I was going with too. I think he's going to lead the team in sacks. I actually think the guy that is going to compete most with him is Jack. I think that with him having his hand down, and I think this is his year too. So I think could look very good. I think that they could both be competing against each other for a lot of sacks. I think the big thing, the big thing kind of against JT at times over these last couple seasons is saying that he takes plays off is the wrong phrasing. So I don't really know how to phrase it. It's just that sometimes his consistency just needs to be better. There's times where he's second half Penn State, and then there's times that he's not. And I think that this year, this is money year, and I think they always know that. And trust me, this is where you could get the number one defensive end draft,
right?
So like that, and I think he gets that. And I think he's going to be very consistent this year. And, I'm looking forward to it. I think he is going to lead the team in sacks, but I think Sawyer could give him a run for his money. I think Jack is going to look really good this year.
Jack's an excellent pass rusher. I know he slimmed down a little bit. So definitely, that should add a little bit of speed to him. So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Jack doing it. I could see Kenyatta Jackson doing it. I'm not saying he can't, but I just think JT's just the most talented there. I think he's going to be the man. And I agree with you completely. Like, I've actually been thinking that over the last couple of days. It's like, I don't want to say like low motor and you never hear like, you don't think he takes any plays off or anything. It's just, it is a consistency thing that he just hasn't been able to bring that Penn State game every game, and hopefully it happens. I think it will this year.
Yeah. I mean, when you kind of think back, when you think back, like kind of like just ex-Buckeyes that were just the man. I mean, Chase always brought it when he was in there. I mean, to the point that, his last couple games, I mean, he was literally getting held by two guys almost every play from, Michigan forward.
Chip by a third.
Yeah. So, I mean, they made the decision, the Michigan, the Wisconsin, and the Clemson games that he just was not going to do anything, and they'll take chances on getting holding penalties, which obviously none were called. And
you got a lot of guys that got home though in those games that weren't Chase Young also.
Yeah, so I just think that, and the same with the Bosas, they, those guys, they have those it factors, and it comes with consistency. And JT definitely has the it factor. I want to see him a little bit more consistent and just have that, that bully attitude, for the whole game. And if he does, and I think he will this year for everything I've stated. I think, this is always a prove it season for a lot of these guys. They always, they have aspirations to go to the NFL, and this is the money season. It's the free agency season. When you think about when free agents blow up in the league and stuff like that, this is their money year. And I think that,
congratulations to Dwan Jones and Luke Whippler making the Browns, man.
Exactly. And I bet, if Dwan would have had a little bit more of that philosophy, he would have he'd be making first round money, and
a fourth round contract shorter.
He gets up to a 4-year. After the first round, they don't have I think if they're all 4-year contracts. Obviously, the NFL, you can get cut whenever.
He can get a giant contract quicker.
Yeah. So hopefully, that he can get that. But we're very impressed with him with that. So,
and in no way am I suggesting JT today is Joey, Nick, or Chase Young. I mean, those guys are freaks. They were all NFL defensive rookies of the year, all of which is crazy because that's with Lattimore too. I mean, Ohio State had 4 in 6 years, 5 years, something insane like that. So. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that at all, but I mean, he could be there is a chance that he could find that next level because he's shown that he is, the best one on that unit. So I think he's the man. If I had to go a second one, Jack Sawyer, probably third. I might even say Michael Hall at that point.
Yeah. I definitely do think this defensive line is going to get to the quarterback, going to get home a lot more than they've gotten the last few years. All right. Interceptions. Who are you going with? Who you think is going to lead the team in interceptions?
I could be way off on this. I think it's going to be Davison Igbinosun. He's long. You hear all in practice that he's just getting, hands on everything. I think he's going to have times that he's going to play in the slot. I think there, times he's going to be on the outside. And I think he just is a very disruptive force in there. So, I mean, it could end up being a safety. I mean, you got Sonny Styles, roaming center field there. So it very well could be a safety, but I think there is a good chance that it could be from a cornerback. And I don't know. I got a feeling about the guy. It could be Denzel Burke. It could be Hancock. I just think it's going to be Igbinosun.
Yeah. I agree with you on the cornerback thing. My opinion is different than you. So I don't think it's going to be Burke because I think we're going to see freshman year Burke. I think Denzel Burke is going to be locked down, dude. There's going to be times in this season where you don't even realize he's playing because the ball is just not going to go that way. I think it's going to be Hancock because it really perked me up when they said, when they talked to Knowles this week. And we did hear some things that, they were, playing Hancock some and as a nickel. And he said, and they asked him straight up, are you going to get these 3 guys in? Is it going to be going from rotation or is it going to be because you're going to play all 3 together at times? And he said both. And I think Jordan Hancock is going to be the one that's going to be that slot guy. And I think that he's going to get a lot of interceptions because of it, because who does quarterbacks look for when they need to get a third down and they got a defensive lineman breathing? Then they're going to look for the easiest guy to throw it to. And it's normally a slot guy.
Right.
And I just think he's going to be, I think he's going to feel a lot like how it kind of felt like, it's a different defense because it's 4 secondary guys against 5 secondary guys. But, you think about how good Wade looked in 2019 because, he got to bully those slot receivers, and that's what he did. He bullied them. And I think Jordan Hancock is going to be the same way. And I do think he's going to lead the team in interceptions. And I think we're going to see a lot of it. There's going to be times we're going to see out of those 5 secondary players, 3 of them are going to be corners, and there's going to be times 3 of them are safeties. And, and there's going to be times when it's going to be 3 bigger safeties and there's going to be times when, Cam Martinez is the third safety and it's a little bit smaller. But it seems like Ransom and Sonny are always the guys on the field for the safeties. And then it's going to be kind of a rotation as the rest who's, between Hancock, Cam Martinez, and, Proctor, Hartford, and Carter, who's going to be your fifth secondary guy out there. So, and I think we're going to see it on Saturday. You're going to see Jordan Hancock in there as the nickelback. I think that's probably guaranteed at this point. I do definitely see it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'd said a different person, but now that I think about it, Tanner McAllister, he had to been close to being the leader in interceptions last year. So maybe that's just by design in Knowles' defense. So I kind of like that nickel guy could, he could be a guy that gets a lot of interceptions in this defense. I like that. Okay. So real quick, without explanation, and this could just be, yes or no, or a play or whatever, but what do you think as far as like Heisman Trophy? Do you have a guy you think is going to win it? Is it going to be a Buckeye or no? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Right now, I'm definitely saying it's the field, so it's not going to be a Buckeye. I don't think it's going to be Caleb Williams. I
think they're going to lose 2 or 3 times.
I do. I kind of think that too. I don't see how. I think somebody's spectacular. There's going to be somebody spectacular. You can lose 2 or 3 times and win the Heisman on stats, but I think the Heisman voters, they really, really look for, the it guy and the it games. But like last year, and some people might disagree with this, CJ Stroud, if that second half,
he wins the Heisman.
If he beats Michigan, he wins. Caleb does not beat him in the Heisman.
No, he easily wins the Heisman. Maybe not easily, but he wins the Heisman if he beats Michigan. But to your point that guys with 3 losses can win the Heisman, I think the teams that are undefeated have to have less than like 1 spectacular guys. And I just don't think we're going to see that from teams this year. I think if Michigan's undefeated, I think Blake Corum's going to look great. If Ohio State's undefeated, Marv's going to look great. Trey's going to look
great. When Alabama wins the national title in 20, they have 3 guys up there for
right.
Ohio State has had years.
19, they had 3 guys right up there.
So, I don't think that, I don't think Caleb Williams, because I don't think he's going to be able to out. The Pac-12, sadly for their last season,
they're good.
Might be the best that they've had as a top to bottom conference, and how many generations? I don't know. I'm trying to think the last time they had this many good teams. Both Oregon teams are good. Utah is good. Washington is good. USC is good. That's 5 teams right there that are really good. And
if he does go undefeated, though, then he's probably going to win it. I would say, because he's going to have to play out of his mind to go undefeated.
Yeah, because he's going to have to outperform Alex Grinch's defense, which sucks.
He's competing against Alex Grinch.
That's who he's mainly competing against. And we saw that last weekend. That I'm just I have no doubt that in my mind that USC is going to drop a couple games, and not because Caleb Williams is not an out of this world player. It's because
defense sucks.
Can he compete against Alex Grinch? And that's what sucks, is that, they need to figure out the defensive coordinators they had when Pete Carroll was there, and they need to get those guys back.
I can never take that guy seriously until he tries to improve his defense.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're there. I don't really feel like giving a 4 teams for the playoffs, unless you do, but right now,
no.
Ohio State total record. What do you think?
They
can play a 15 max.
I've been going back and forth with this one just because, they have a tough schedule this year. They got 4 games where they could lose, and I don't think they're going to lose 4 games. I only think that if they would drop one, it's going to be there's going to be one to drop. But I think that they're going to put some stuff together this year. They're going to go into South Bend. They're going to beat Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to beat Penn State and Columbus. I do feel that way. And I think they're going to get the monkey off their back and beat Michigan at the end of the year. The one that kind of makes me nervous is Wisconsin, because that is the week after Penn State. And we know the Penn State game is always so physical. Yeah. And that, so that one does make me nervous. I think they still beat Wisconsin. They have way more talent than Wisconsin does. And So I think they're going to go undefeated. I think they're going to win the Big Ten, and they're going into the playoffs. And I think that if this team can live up to those expectations to go undefeated in conference, they're going to win the national title.
Yeah, I think they should. I mean, look at the offenses from like 19 LSU and 20 Alabama. I mean, they should be able to kind of replicate that. So,
Mac Jones was no Joey Burrow, and they won the national title. I mean, that shows you right there with Kyle McCord or Devin Brown that just get the ball to your playmakers.
Sark did an excellent job, though, of coaching up to Mac Jones's strength of getting rid of the ball quickly and using his speed.
And I will take Ryan Day every day of the week as an offensive play caller over Sark.
Yeah. No, I'm there with you. I think Sark's a pretty good mind, but I'm there with you. I want to say 14-1 because I say undefeated every year, and I just feel like a homer. But man, I just don't see a team being more talented than them and beating them. Like if they have their heads on right in Ann Arbor, I think they're golden, man. Like, and then anything can happen against top tier teams in the playoffs. But I'm with you. I'm saying 15-0.
There's a lot of question. And the reason I say that too, there's a lot of question marks at the top. I mean,
everybody has question marks.
I mean, honestly, probably of all the top teams that have the least amount of question marks is Michigan. And the only reason why I'm not like convinced on them is they are going to have no schedule leading outside of playing Penn State. So
if Ohio State can do to them what they did to Ohio State last year, I mean, do they get the benefit of the doubt and get to sneak in as a fourth seed?
I don't
think so because they have a terrible schedule.
Yeah, I don't know. In that situation, it kind of depends where everybody else is. I mean, Ohio State wouldn't have made it neither if USC would have won against Utah.
And people forget that. Like that was not a foregone conclusion whatsoever.
Yeah.
All right. So sneaking into hour 2. So you ready to start previewing this weekend?
Yeah. Let's
talk about stuff. All right. So, what do you go ahead? Where do you want to go first with this?
Let's just talk about, let's do the Big 10 games, just quick predictions, and then we'll do a couple of the big games for the weekend, and then we'll do just quick preview on Indiana.
All right. Well, first game is tonight. Nebraska travels to Minnesota. Minnesota is a 7.5 point favorite. I really like Matt Rule as a college football coach.
I do.
I think they're still a year away. Like, I don't know if they can win this game.
I agree.
But I'm having trouble picking against them, especially, Minnesota's going to have to kind of are they going to have to kind of redo their identity? Because, I mean, Mo's gone now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Minnesota wins. It might be a rough. I think Nebraska is a year away, so I'll say Minnesota covers at home tonight.
I'm going with Nebraska. I think Minnesota's going to beat them. I think Nebraska is going to cover. I think this is going to be one of those games. I think it's going to be. I don't really know a lot about Minnesota. I just think it's going to be kind of sloppy on both ways, just because it's the first game of the season, and so those games tend to play closer than maybe if this game was in a few weeks from now. Maybe if Minnesota. I do think Minnesota is probably the better team. Maybe Minnesota does beat them by a full touchdown. But I just think this is one of these games where it's going to be a lot closer.
Okay. All right. Tomorrow night, Central Michigan is traveling to East Lansing. Michigan State's a 14-point favorite. I'll tell you what, early in the season against a MAC school like Central Michigan, Michigan State's either going to blow the doors off of them or they're going to lose outright to them. I'm taking the latter. I don't believe in Tucker. I don't believe in that team. I think Central Michigan's going to pull an upset and beat them.
I don't know how good the chips are.
I have no idea, man. I don't know if they've been good at all recently. They used to be good.
Yeah, they used to be good. I think Michigan State, what is it? You said it's 14?
14.
I don't ever like those covers with Michigan State. I don't like double digit covers, but I'll say that Michigan State will cover.
Okay. Saturday, Michigan against East Carolina. It's on Peacock. Michigan's a 36-point favorite. I don't know what was his name? Chris Johnson. Maybe if he was still on East Carolina, like back in the day, I'd give him a chance. I think the coaching situation's interesting with Harbaugh being suspended.
He has to make everything so weird.
Oh, everything's so damn goofy with that guy.
Why can't you just pick a head coach? Like,
yeah, I know. I'll say Michigan covers. I think they're really good this year, but that's weird. It's just it's weird without their head coach there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Michigan covers.
All right. Utah State travels to Iowa. Noon game. Iowa is a 23.5-point favorite. I don't know how bad Utah State is. I mean, I'm guessing they have to be bad if Iowa's favored that much over them because Iowa can't score 23 points. So no, I think Iowa will win, but I think Iowa wins, but I don't think they cover this because I don't think they can score 24 points.
No, I agree with that. I think they not if it's 23. I'd give them maybe a double digit cover at 14-17, but I don't know if Brian Ferentz I don't know if Iowa's defense can outperform Brian Ferentz.
Yeah, I don't.
Are they unless they score 23 points? Remember, a lot of games last year was because
that's true. That's true.
They scored the bulk of the points. So no, I don't think they cover.
That is true. All right. Fresno State travels to Purdue. Noon game. Purdue's a 3.5-point favorite. Yeah, I think Purdue's going to be all right. So I don't know. Maybe they won't be all right. I don't know much about them, actually. They got a new coach. They got a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, but it's Graham Harrell. He likes to spin it. So I'll say Purdue covers.
Yeah. I'm going to say Purdue covers too.
All right. Wisconsin against Buffalo at 3:30 in Camp Randall. Wisconsin's a 28-point favorite. We'll see what Luke's all about. I'll say Buffalo beats the spread on this one. Wisconsin will win, but I don't think they're going to win by 29.
I think that, again, this is one of those situations. I think that maybe in a couple of weeks they could. I don't know what it's going to look like yet to try to mix. We're gonna run the Mike Leach style offense with the Barry Alvarez style offense and see how it works.
It's an interesting concept.
Like, man. I don't know how that works, but so I think that.
Is there a point he just leans on Braylon Allen this year?
I mean, I would, but
he's a stud, man.
Like 17-24, I would say they would somewhere that this game's going to fall into. So that's what so they won't cover, but they'll win handedly.
All right. Skip it over Maryland Towson. There is no line there. Penn State at home against West Virginia. Penn State's a 20.5-point favorite. It's a night game. Happy Valley. West Virginia is garbage. Yes, I think Penn State covers this.
Yeah. I definitely, if James Franklin if Drew Allard is what they think Drew Allard is, I know they're, the receivers are, maybe they don't have that top line receiver that they've had in years past, but they have a pretty good offensive line. They have really good running backs, and their defense has got dudes all over the defense. So I think that, if James Franklin does not get in the way there, I think Penn State could be, that could be a real threat. That could be a real threat.
He can't help but to get in his own way, though.
But they easily cover this game.
Toledo travels over to Illinois. Illinois is a 9.5-point favorite against Toledo. I don't know, man. Do you think there's a chance that Burke gets his guys up to just be bullies and just beats the hell out of Toledo in this game?
I do. I think Illinois will have a good defense. Like they could win 17-3 and cover.
That's a cover, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's going to be a pretty game by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not sure what Toledo necessarily has right now. I know it's not the Matt Campbell teams anymore, but they've had some decent teams. They always have had teams that usually can compete in the MAC. So they're pretty good. But I think that Burt will have a good defense there, and he's going to have his power running game going for him. So yeah, I think they cover, but it could be a sloppy cover.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Is that kid actually still the quarterback at Toledo? I forgot about him.
No.
He was good.
Yeah.
I don't know if he transferred.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That kid.
He was good. I don't know, though. We'll look into that later. Big one. Okay. Sunday, noon, Northwestern Rutgers. Rutgers is favored by 6.5. When was the last time in conference you knew that Rutgers was favored by almost a touchdown?
I don't know. Did they play?
Cover? They cover at home, man.
Yeah.
They're going to beat Northwestern by more than 7.
I expect Northwestern to have a god awful season.
Yeah,
possibly worse than last season, which would means they don't win a game this year. So, like, they should have lost every game last year because Scott Frost screwed himself in that first game. They did not win in the United States of America last year. Just remember that.
They're so bad. All right. So this one will be over by the time we get all this up. But Utah, Florida tonight at 8 starts in a little bit here. Utah is a 5.5 point favorite. What do you think?
5.5. I think Utah still beats Florida. I think they actually are better playmakers this year. I think Florida is not going to look that great this year, in my opinion. But with Cam Rising not playing, that seems like that's official now from what I heard earlier. That it's going to be close. But I think Utah pulls it out. But I think Florida covers, so I think it's going to be less than 5.
Okay. Last year's darling TCU plays Colorado at 12 p.m. TCU is a 20.5 point favorite. Yeah, I got them covering this.
Yeah, they'll probably cover. I did throw in on a parlay bet Colorado covering on one of something. So
some real garbage match.
And that was just to give me some extra. Yeah, it's not a lot of great things, but now TCU probably is going to cover that one.
Washington, Boise State at Washington, 3:30. Washington's a 14-point favorite. Boise State surprised you. I think Washington might be for real this year. So I'm going to say they cover this game.
I like Penix. I like that receiving core.
He's actually, and I didn't come up with this, but he would be a dark horse for me to win the Heisman.
Yeah, he could be too. For me, Washington covers.
All right, let's skip down to North Carolina, South Carolina. All these games are, they are what they are.
Yeah, let's do North Carolina, South Carolina, and then we'll do the 2 big ones.
Okay, so
or the Sunday night, Monday night game.
So Carolina's a 2.5 point favorite. It's at the Duke Mayo Classic. I don't know where they play that at. So I don't know. I mean, Carolina's ranked. South Carolina's not. Carolina's the favorite. SEC usually beats ACC in these games. Drake May's better than Spencer Rattler, but I don't know. I'll say South Carolina pulls the upset and actually wins this game outright. Yeah. And I like Beamer's son too.
What's the spread on it?
2.5.
2.5. I think North Carolina covers. I do think
Shane Beamer, right?
Yeah. I do think they are slightly better, but I don't know how Tennessee's going to look this year. Like I already said, I think Florida is going to be, nowhere near as good. So this is all kind of, this is all playing second place to Georgia. If Spencer Rattler comes out and has a pretty good season, they could be the second best team in the East. They got some players there. They could be the dark horse second place team in the East. But for this, I'm going to go North Carolina. I just think they're a little bit more consistent.
LSU, Florida State, Camping World kickoff Sunday, 7:30. LSU is a 2-point favorite. I don't know. I don't think I'm confident anyway here because everyone says that Florida State, they got all this experience coming back, that they really just through the transfer portal try to build for this year. They're like the darling pick, that they're going to win a national title. I really got to see it on the field before I would pick them to win a national title. I can see Brian Kelly just coming out and just dunking on these guys, or I can see Brian Kelly shitting the bed and Florida State pulling it out. So 2's not a lot. I'm going to take LSU to cover. I think just any more LSU has been more talented than Florida State, but I could see anything happening here.
This is a game I've been going back and forth with. It's pretty much a pick 'em. I'm going with Florida State. They'll have, I'm sure LSU will travel well. It's in Orlando.
To win outright or just to lose by less than 2?
No, they're going to win. I think they'll win outright. So they will cover. They will beat the spread. I think it'll be a good game. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily set on Florida State being, back by any stretch of the imagination. They have to prove to me that they don't lose stupid games, and they can beat Clemson. And and that doesn't mean I think LSU. Part of me thinks LSU is going to win the West and possibly the SEC this year.
Well, their season's still very much in front of them if they lose this game.
Yeah. So, I think this game means more to Florida State, even though they'll have some opportunities still coming up. But that makes the Clemson game very, very, very important then in a couple weeks, because I believe that's what is. Are they playing Clemson the same week we're playing Notre Dame, or is it the bye week the following week? I think it's like right at the end of September. Like
Florida State, Clemson. Yeah, it's going to be the same.
Yeah, so
it's on the 23rd. Yep. Oh, that'll be a good day.
Yeah, so those
Ole Miss is playing Alabama.
Yeah, so those will be. I'm assuming Florida State Clemson will be a night game.
That's Iowa Penn State's that day.
Yeah, so we'll have some good games that day. So I think Florida State beats LSU, and they start off the season 1-0.
All right, so. This next one, I'm a little confused by this spread, to be honest with you. Because I don't think, is Duke supposed to be good?
I don't know.
I mean, they're at home maybe? I don't know. I don't know where they're playing this. I know Clemson's showing as the away team, but I don't know if they got a neutral site or not. So this Labor Day game, though, Clemson's ranked number 9th in the country. They are only a 13-point favorite against Duke, which seems like 13's a lot, but I don't know, man. I would think this would be a 3-score game. So I think Clemson's going to cover.
Yeah, I think Clemson's going to cover too. I know they have a different offensive quarterback or coordinator, new quarterback.
It's Lincoln's brother, isn't it? Though yeah.
But
so they should be able to put up some points.
Yeah, they cover.
Okay. All right. So. Let's talk about a game in Bloomington, Indiana, Saturday, 3:30 on CBS.
Yeah. So Ohio State, big favorites in this game, and it's going to come down to their quarterbacks and how the offensive line looks. And I think that's
getting off the bus, real.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're going to win this game easily. Are they going to win it by 30 plus easily, or are they going to win it by 20 plus easily? That's where I think the thing comes in. Indiana's played them tough before, and I'm not saying that Indiana can't play them tough again. These opener games, when, they are knocking off some rust, it's weird. And, this is everything for Indiana. They're going to come up super fired up and stuff. And, Tom Allen's going to scheme a lot of different things to come at these quarterbacks. So, there could be spots in this first half where it does look kind of ugly. I'm kind of leaning that I don't think it will, that I think that I really believe that maybe the first couple series look a little weird, but I think our defense is going to be that good this year. And I don't see where Indiana's got so many new guys this year because they really did a lot in the transfer portal. So I could see that. I think the defense really shuts them down, though. And I think when you have that many transfer portal guys, it's kind of hard to gel.
Yeah.
So I don't know how well gelled they're going to be able to really play a game.
Especially because you don't have a good foundation to begin with.
Yeah. And so I just think the Ohio State defense is for real this year, and that Ohio State will ease the offense into the game by running the ball. And, I think they're going to put a lot on Trey early in this game and some of the other backs. And I think they'll be fine. It might take the passing game a little bit to get really going, but I think by time halftime rolls around, they'll be looking really good and, well oiled.
Yeah. So you mentioned defense first. So who do you think defensive player of the game? Doesn't necessarily got to be the best stats, maybe the most impactful, however you want to think about that. Who is going to stand out and just be the difference maker for the defense?
Surprised you let me go first on this one. Sonny. What is Sonny Styles? Who is Sonny Styles? Yeah, that's who I'm going with. I've heard, and I could be completely wrong, but we've heard so much hype about him. I just think he's going to be all over the field and he's going to be making plays everywhere.
So mine's going to be a guy in much limited or much less production, much more limited action. I think it's going to be CJ Hicks.
Yeah, it could be.
I think CJ is going to get some run in there, and he's just absolutely going to, he might not be a game, he might not have the impact Sonny does because he's not going to get the same type of snap Sonny does, but he's just going to drop jaws with the plays he's going to make. He is going to have that Darren Lee impact from 2014. I can just feel it. So I think that's my guy is going to be CJ Hicks in this game.
Okay.
Hey, offense. Who's your MVP?
I'm going to say, I'm going to go Trey. I think they're going to really ride him. And, I'm not saying, I think, we could see touchdowns from Marvin, Cade. We could see Abuka, all these guys we could see, touchdowns from,
Does Carnell Tate catch a touchdown in this first game?
I want to say yes, but at that point, then I'm getting greedy, and I'm
saying no for game one.
At a point, then I'm like, God, what are you saying? They're going to score 10 touchdowns in this game, and I think there's going to be a defensive touchdown. So,
it could happen. I agree with you on Trey. I know we usually go different people, but I think you got to ease the situation in, because it's not just a new quarterback. It's not like when you had CJ and you had 4 tackles in a wall in front of him, and you had Nicholas Petit-Ferrer and Thayer Munford and Harris Johnson and DeJuan Jones, even though DeJuan was inexperienced at the time. It's still, you got to ease. I think you're going to have to ease them in with these tackles and that new center. And I think you ride Trey to do that. And I think Justin Fry is a very good run blocking play caller. And I know people might point to last year. That had a lot of Kevin Wilson's hands on what their running play calls were last year. I think we're going to see something different this year. I think it's going to be more effective in short yardage. I think it's going to look better altogether. And I think you got to start off the season, though, kind of riding Trey hard. And I could see him going over 200 in this game. I really could.
I could too. I think he'll.
They're bad. If he gets the run, he could do it.
And the thing is, the crazy thing is, you could come in with a conservative mindset that we're going to run the ball more in this game, and you could still blow these guys out by the cover that easily, because Trey could house a couple very easily in this game. And, they all could. They could really play bully ball and easily run the ball 30 plus times in this game, I could see. And I think they're going to want to try on both sides. I think on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think Knowles is going to do a lot. I think that they're just going to let his athleticism roll the day of that defense, because they're going to do everything they can to stay as vanilla as possible. Ryan Day kind of said it the other day. He's like, yeah, we don't, we want to win and stuff, but we also don't need to maybe,
don't need to show everything.
And I think that's going to be the mindset. You got Notre Dame coming here in a few weeks. Let's get 3-0, look really good, and then go show some cool things to them.
Yeah. All right. So I'll go first with score prediction. I think it can actually look kind of ugly at different points in this first half. I'm going to say, and I don't want to give Indiana any points, I just think first weeks are so weird, and just there's going to be, even though they're good players, there's going to be new faces on the defense. Things still need to gel. So I think Indiana might get a couple, and some might be in garbage time too. I think they're going to get a couple scores though. I think it's going to be 45-17 is where I'm going. So not a cover, because what's it, 29 points right now?
Yeah. So it's depending on the site you look at, it's either 29.5. I've seen 32. So
not a cover, but a thorough ass kicking though.
Yeah. I think there could be some ugly points in this thing. I still think they get up north of 50. And so 55, I'm going with, I think Ohio State's defense, maybe late in the game when they change and stuff. So I don't really want to give them a field goal, because I think that they'll probably not be kicking field goals. So I'm going to say 55-7. I think that,
I was an easy cover.
I was going to say 55-10. I've been between 55 I've been on for a minute. I've been kind of between 7 and 14 for, I'm thinking, I wanted to go 55-10, but I'm thinking, I really think that all these points for Indiana are going to come late in the game, and I don't see Indiana kicking field goals at that point.
Unless they're just trying to ruin a shutout.
Yeah. So I'm going to say 55-7, and that's what I'm going to go with.
All right. I like it. So we're good, man. That's it. Week 1's coming at us. Thank you all for stopping in tonight to the Buckeye Bar. I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
OH.
IO. Go Buckeyes.
Go Buckeyes. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Buckeye Bar Guys on Buckeye Bar Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that all notifications bell so you see when new content is added. And please remember to like and share so we can grow our audience. Don't be afraid to comment. We want to know what you're thinking, and we want to know what content to add for you guys. OH.
IO.